Hey everyone, gather round. Let me tell you about these practice sessions. So I'm looking at the practice session 1, drawing a self-portrait, which is the first practice session immediately after the short essay on learning to see. So just a little bit of context. These practice sessions are designed to help you practice some of the concepts that Miller and Jurecic were talking about in the essay on learning to see. The first two, most notably, will be demonstrating different concepts or skills developed by Betty Edwards. She was that art teacher that Miller and Jurecic talk about. So practice session 1, if you choose to do that one, will be drawing a self-portrait. Practice session 2, if you choose to do that one, will be drawing an image that is upside down. And here's the upside down image. And practice session 3 is not drawing, but still practicing the skill of looking at a problem in a different way, which is kind of what the drawing activities are getting at as well, just looking at something in a different way. So let me go ahead and read through the practice sessions and explain them. So practice session 1, drawing a self-portrait. The habits that this one will help us practice are paying attention, persisting, working deliberately. And the activities that are involved in this are analyzing, drawing, reflecting, and writing. Draw a self-portrait. Start by finding a spot with a mirror and plenty of light where you can work comfortably for at least 30 minutes. Using a pencil and a blank sheet of paper, draw your face. Do your best and don't give up before you've got all your facial features looking back at you. Take the full 30 minutes. So just let me pause for a moment. It's really important that you actually spend the allotted time or the specified time on each of these activities. So for this one, spend at least 30 minutes where you're trying to draw a self-portrait by looking at yourself in the mirror. Now, it's really important that you're not that you're not just representing what you think your face looks like. Really pay attention to the details that you see in the mirror and really try to look for those increments of simplicity that Miller and Jurecic talk about. Don't just try to recreate your face just based on how you think a face looks, because that's not really going along with the activity, right? The purpose of this is to really pay close attention to how the different lines and contours and textures and colors of your face work together to create the image of your face, right? And so you're trying to faithfully transcribe that as best you can. So let's continue. Next, look carefully at the features you included and their relationships to one another. Why did your portrait turn out as it did? What went right? Where did you successfully transform perception into image? What went wrong? What did you not see as you were drawing? How did you feel while you were completing this exercise? How did you feel when you were done? Why? As a final step, take at least 15 minutes to write an assessment of the act of seeing that generated your self-portrait. So again, it's important that you actually spend at least 15 minutes. You can spend more, but a minimum of 15 minutes where you're writing about your experience with this. So responding to these questions can help you with that written reflection. And so what you would do when it's time, if you completed this activity, when it's time to post it to the discussion board, is you would include your reflection, so that would be your post, in addition to embedding the image of your self-portrait. Okay, so I suggest that you really embed the image into the post. Don't just attach it. Embed the image so it just appears, so people don't need to download it if they look at it. Yeah, so that's practice session 1, drawing a self-portrait. Practice session 2. This is one that if we were meeting in a face-to-face class setting, we would do this one together in class. We would actually spend a class session working on this together. Each person would be doing their own version of it, but we'd all be doing it separately together in the same room. But don't let that sway your decision. I want you to choose one of the practice sessions that you think is most interesting to you. So let's read this. Practice session 2, the world upside down. So the habits this one will help us develop or practice are paying attention, persisting, and working deliberately. and the activities involved are drawing, reflecting, and writing. For this exercise, you will use a trick of Betty Edwards's that helps you see without naming, drawing an upside-down image. We'd like you to give Edwards's exercise a try, following these instructions. Gather your materials. You'll need the Egon Schiele drawing reproduced in Figure 3.1, a pencil, an eraser, and a sheet of unlined paper. Then find a quiet place where you won't be interrupted for at least 30 minutes. So again, make sure that you are spending at least 30 minutes, so set a timer. When you're ready to begin drawing, turn off your phone. Okay, well, if you're using your phone as a timer, just maybe turn it on airplane mode. Turn off your phone, close your laptop, and take off your headphones. So this is important too. Don't listen to music because that will interfere with your concentration, your focus of paying attention. You should do everything you can to give this exercise your undivided attention. While you are making your copy of the upside-down Schiele line drawing, try not to figure out what you are looking at, and don't turn the drawing right side up until after you've finished. You'll do a better job if you aren't trying to name what you are drawing. Focus instead on the lines in the drawing, the relationships between those lines, and the relationships between the lines and the paper's edge. Edwards tells her students, when you come to parts that seem to force their name on you, the HANDS and the FACE, try to focus on these parts just as shapes. You might even cover up with one hand or finger all but the specific line you are drawing, and then uncover each adjacent line. So this is to help us practice looking for those small increments of simplicity that Miller and Jurecic were talking about, really paying attention to the relationship of lines on the page, not trying to recreate what those lines are supposed to represent, for example, the hands or the face. A lot of times if we say, oh, I need to draw a face, we're just going to draw the symbol of face. It's not going to be the exact lines and shapes and contours and colors and textures, etc., of what we see before us. So that's why it's really important that you try not to impose those names on yourself when you're looking at this. So look for those increments of simplicity. Take your time. The goal of this is not to try to finish the drawing. The goal of this is to spend 30 minutes focused on drawing. So don't worry if you don't actually finish the actual image. That is irrelevant. The goal is to spend 30 minutes of undivided attention as much as possible, focused on how the different relationships and lines and textures, etc., are working together so that you can try to recreate that on your own sheet of paper. When you are done making your copy, we'd like you to reflect upon the experience of drawing an upside-down image. Begin by considering the following questions. Was it difficult to stop naming and to start seeing relationships? Are there parts of your copy that are more successful than others? What happened to your sense of time while you were working on your copy? Spend at least 30 minutes, so again, make sure that you spend at least 30 minutes writing about what happened in your mind while you worked on your line drawing. There's no right answer here. Think of your writing as a sketch of your mind at work. Learning to see begins with learning how you see. So that's what your written reflection will be. So spend at least 30 minutes reflecting on your experience of this activity. Okay, so use these different questions to help you, but make sure that you do spend those 30 minutes working on this, the reflection. So you would post your written reflection, and here's the image that you're trying to recreate upside down. So again, make sure that you're just paying close attention to the actual lines that you see. Don't try to say, oh, that's a hand, so I'm going to draw a hand, because inevitably what happens is we just draw a symbolic representation of a generic hand instead of what we actually see here, these different line drawings, these different, the different connections and relationships between these lines. So that's really important that you do that. And again, don't worry if you don't actually finish the drawing. That's not the point. The point is to spend at least 30 minutes trying to recreate what you see on the image and translating it to what you see on the page. Okay. Practice session 3, the candle problem. So this one, as I mentioned earlier, is not a drawing exercise. It's meant to help us practice seeing in a different way when looking at a certain problem. So the habits this will help us practice are paying attention, playing, working deliberately. And the activities that it will entail are note-taking, problem-solving, reflecting, and writing. In the 1940s, a psychologist named Carl Dunker developed a test of problem solving that's popularly known as the candle problem. The challenge posed to participants is to figure out how to attach a lit candle to a wall without dripping wax on the floor below. To complete the challenge, participants can use only the objects pictured here. So this is the candle problem. So you can only use the book of matches, the tacks, the candle, everything that you see in this image is what you can use. Those are the materials that you can use to complete this problem. You can't borrow other things like, oh, I'm going to get some tape, or I'm going to get this, I'm going to get that. Only what's in the picture. And so your goal is to see how you could attach a candle to a wall without the candle dripping wax on the floor. So that's the problem here. Take as much time as you need to figure out how you would solve the candle problem and then write down your solution. Next, watch Daniel Pink's TED Talk, The Puzzle of Motivation. Pink begins talking about the candle problem and its solution at around the 2-minute mark. But we want you to listen to the talk in its entirety. Take notes while you're writing down anything Pink says that surprises you. After you've listened to Pink's TED Talk, we'd like you to spend 45 minutes writing a reflective piece that considers the role seeing played in your response to the candle problem. Did solving the candle problem require a new way of seeing, a new way of thinking, or both? What do you think the implications of the candle problem are for learning? So these are the questions that you would try to accomplish in your writing. So you're going to spend at least 45 minutes reflecting in writing. So remember, you want to make sure that you adhere to the prescribed time. That's really important. That's part of the exercise. Now, if you already know the candle problem, you've already encountered this in like a psychology class or something, I don't recommend that you do this one because you already know the way to solve it, and so it doesn't really kind of achieve the purpose that they're going for. But I do encourage you to watch that TED Talk. It's really interesting if you don't do this activity, if you choose to do one of these ones up here. Okay, so these are the 3 practice sessions that you can choose. Make sure that you adhere to the directions exactly as Miller and Jurecic have written them, so spending the allotted time, the specified time, working on these different activities or the different components of the activities, and you'll post your written reflection to the discussion board as well as the image that you created. If you have any questions, let me know. Otherwise, I will catch you all later.